Howdy folks, welcome to another beautiful day out here in West Vancouver. The sun has just broken through this afternoon. It's actually been quite a cold week, cold and rainy. It rained quite a lot. I emptied one of the empty containers now and it had probably about 1.5 inches of rain from the last 3 days in it. Anyway, today we're talking about getting your car fixed and what the service departments of the accredited dealers do over here in Vancouver. So for those of you that don't know, a couple of weeks, probably about a month ago, Belinda took the car in for a service. Now we sent the car to the accredited Ford garage where we bought the car to do the service because we heard a little bit of a noise on the left rear wheel and the right rear wheel. You know, there was a little bit of a noise at the back there. So, I mean, we trusted that that would be the best thing to do, is to take it to the accredited dealer and, you know, dinkum parts and all of that stuff. Any which way, so Belinda took the car in. The guy came back after, when she went back there to pick the car up, they go, "Oh ma'am, there's a problem on your brakes. Your brake pads are wearing down skew." Now what they mean is it's like skew, it's at an angle. And what we need to do is we need to replace the calipers and the whole braking system. So over here, if they replace the calipers, they replace the pads, and they also replace the discs or the rotors as we know them. Well, the discs as we know them, over here they call them the rotors. Anyway, long story short, so this guy tells Belinda that he tells her the scary story about these brake pads wearing down skew. He's like, well, you can drive it like that, but I drove my car like that, and then the brake pad, because it was wearing down skew, slid out and it slid in between and it jammed on the disc. And by the time I got home, my rear wheel almost caught on fire. It was red hot because this thing was braking the whole time. You know, so he tells her this really scary story, and he's like, and it's better to just fix it now, and it's only going to cost $2,000. Well, I think it was a little under $2,000, like 1.9, whatever. But anyway, so that's parts and labor to replace the whole rear brake system. It's the calipers, the brakes, the pads, and the rotors. So luckily Belinda is, you know, also from Africa, and she also doesn't like spending money, so she said, hang on a second, let's first go and talk about it. She called me. I said, no, let's wait a little bit, let's first do some more research. Long story short, I made a video about it, and then some of you came back and said, well, that's a rip-off, something sounds wrong. And anyway, what happened also was Braam, one of our viewers and a friend of ours that lived down in Vancouver, they moved here recently, he called and he said, hey, I saw your video and I brought all of my tools with me from South Africa, so why don't you just order the stuff and then we put it in? So that's what we did. I actually ordered it online from AutoZone. I ordered the top of the range, brand spanking new discs or rotors as they call them. I even got the one that was with the little holes in it, so it's air cooled. It's like, you know, a really solid one. I got ceramic disc pads, and I got the rotor, the calipers. I mean, the whole set cost me $270. And then of course, oh well, there was shipping on it as well. I think the shipping was like $60, so it worked out to like $334 for the whole set, all the parts. Okay, granted, it's not Ford original parts, but you know what? When you look at stuff like that, a disc and things like that, Ford original and Ford not original, doesn't make a difference, really doesn't. Any which way. So I ordered the parts, and then the parts were lying around here because we all got busy and, you know, just kind of didn't get around to getting together. And then yesterday we actually finally got together, and we did it. We put the brakes in. Now it took me and Braam, I think, about 3.5 to 4 hours to get the brakes done. I mean, it's a little bit of a slog, but you know what? YouTube is your friend. There was a video exactly of a mechanic showing exactly on a Ford Edge 2014 how to replace it. So I mean, we followed that. He had almost everything in there. So it's not rocket science. You can do it yourself. It's easy enough. You just need a few tools, or a friend with tools, like in my case. In any case, what I want to tell you, or what I want to say, is the thing that I learned from doing my brakes myself. There's a couple of things actually. Well, I guess the first one is that I'm not in my 20s anymore. So last night I was hurting, you know, all the muscles that I used to to loosen the bolts and climbing in there, trying to get stuff done. Okay, yeah, so I'm not in my 20s anymore. It hurt, but it was all worth it because the brakes are done. It's perfect. It works like a charm. It's awesome. The noise is gone, everything. The second thing I want to tell you is that I will never trust these accredited dealers, the service departments again. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. When we took these things off, which was now the first time that we actually got into the brakes, you know, since the guy told us how seriously, scarily dangerous it is to drive around like that. When we took the wheel off and we opened up the brakes, we realized that for those of you that know brakes, you've got the two pads that push onto the disc that makes the car brake. Now those two pads sit in the caliper, and the caliper, it's got like little grooves where those pads run in, you know, just to guide them so that they run smooth and even. And in those little grooves, there's these tiny little metal plates. They're about that size. And those tiny little metal plates, they guide the discs, the pads, the brake pads, onto the disc so that it runs smooth and that it's even. Now, when we opened my car up, two of the little plates were gone, you know. And that's the reason the brakes were wearing down skew. Because without those plates, you don't have anything to guide it, so it's got a little bit of movement, and then it's not always 100% straight. That's also, when I Googled a little bit further, they said, well, if those plates are not incorrect, actually on the thing where they say you've got to put the plates in, they say if the plates are not incorrectly, it might create a little bit of a noise on your car because you now have a little bit of movement that shouldn't be there, and that could create the noise that we heard. So this whole $2,000 quote that the guy gave us, to replace the whole braking system, he could have put two little damn plates in and solved the problem with new pads. I mean, it is just that simple. But like I was saying to Belinda, he probably didn't even open the brake. He probably didn't even really check. He literally had a look in and said, oh, these brakes are wearing down skew. What's the simplest solution? Well, let's quote them to fix the whole lot. Let's quote them on a full replacement of the rear braking system. I mean, that's a little bit nuts. I don't know about you, but I feel almost like it's a little bit criminal, if you ask me. You know? I mean, that's the thing with so many professions and so many things today. We trust these people to have our best interests at heart. I mean, I trust the accredited Ford dealer. I trust their service department to have my best interest at heart. And my best interest is not to pay $2,000 for something that could have been like a $30 fix without labor, or with labor a $200 fix if they really want to charge me that much to take the wheels off and quickly replace the pads and the plates. But you know, they just don't. They just don't care. They literally just, you know, I don't know. I can't explain it. Why would you do that? Why would you charge somebody $2,000? I would feel like a criminal doing that. But I think that's unfortunately the life we live. Anyway. So, long story short, the other thing I learned is do not trust the Ford garage service department. Do not trust it when they tell you that this is broken and you're going to need to spend $2,000 to get it fixed. Take it for a second opinion. And the other thing that I learned is that the actual dealership service stations, if your car is a little bit older and it's not in warranties and stuff anymore, it's not under free replacements anymore, then you're a chump to take it to the dealerships. You take it to individual garages or service stations, you know, people, I don't know, just, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't even know where to start. Anyway. Or of course, just have a quick look, Google it, YouTube it, and check what's wrong with the car so that you at least go in there and go say to the guy, listen, dude, I think you're mocking me right now. Or, you know, find a friend that knows how to fix a car. Anyway, so sorry about that rant. I just feel like, you know, now I'm looking back at all the other things that this Ford garage did for us, because our aircon broke last year and they were like, oh yeah, we need to replace the actuator, it's $800, and the aircon is still not working. Now I'm starting to question everything they've ever done. I mean, literally, why? Yeah, anyway, before we go any further, or another thing I have to say, another thing I learned, it is awesome to have awesome people around you and to get to know awesome people. And I'm talking here about Braam. Braam is the guy that called and said, hey, I've got the tools, I will come and help you. I mean, he came out here with his 2 boys, and we spent 4 or 5 hours, 3-4 hours here fixing the car. I mean, we got dirty, we got we struggled with rusted bolts and things. Look, one thing you got to know about the cars out here is with all the salt that they put on the roads in winter and the water, you got a little bit of a rusty, crusty business going on down underneath the car. Anyway, it is amazing that there are people like that. And the first thing that you got to do when you get here in Canada as an immigrant is to start building up a little bit of a network of friends and like-minded people. It's just amazing that you can do that. I mean, yeah, we ended up doing a $2,000 job for like $340. I mean, it's just absurd. It really is absurd. Anyway, so you all must have a good one. Cheers.